All right. As far as today's practice, so that'll be out. Will be Tonga will be out from practice yesterday. He has an ankle, and then back in today will be Angelo Blackson, Scooter Harrington, Jesper Horsted, Cole Komet, and Pat Scales. They'll all be back. What we did is we flipped days today versus today and tomorrow. So today's going to be a lighter practice walkthrough, and tomorrow we're going to have the pads. We're flipping it. We got to have a pulse of where we're at. We got to be smart with where our team's at right now, and that's the best thing for us to do. So we're flipping these 2 days. So tomorrow will be more ramped up than what today. Today's more mental. With that, that's all I have.
You've been pretty clear with the plan for Justin's development from day one. I'm curious, obviously you guys put a lot of work into coming up with that plan and studying other things and using your own personal experience. What do you see specifically as the biggest advantages for him to start, not being the starter?
Well, yeah, so for him, I would say the biggest thing is making sure that mentally he understands conceptually where we're at, which he's done a really good job with that. When I say that, in the passing game, and then of course in the run game too. I mean, there's just so many parts that go into the whole of this offense, and we've talked over and over and over about the huddle stuff. He's conquered that. The huddle stuff's done. That's now easy to him. Now the next part is going to be the making sure he recognizes the post snap stuff that you see, because right now in the preseason, there's a lot of defenses that we're seeing that are high school Harry defenses, right? You're not seeing a lot. So these coordinators know that they're going to throw different things at you, and that would be the next one. Seeing that on tape, seeing where he's at now, that's film study. That's being with these other quarterbacks and learning. But you can see that he has the talent out there to make a lot of plays on his own.
And the basics are knowing what he's doing and knowing what they're doing to him. So as far as, you seem rock solid as far as how you feel about him knowing your offense and your playbook. Does he have enough of a grasp on what defense will do that if you had to throw him in a game, you would feel comfortable?
It would take time. I would say it would, for him, because he hasn't had those experiences and hasn't seen what Andy has seen with NFL defenses for 10 years. That part there is a major advantage that Andy has in the game being slower. So we always talk about to these young quarterbacks, when they get in the game, and it doesn't matter whatever level, it's your first time in that game, things happen faster, whether it's the progression, whether it's the defense, everything that happens. Every year you're in, it slows down, and that's why you see the development and growth of some of these guys. And so, for him, understanding that, when that time does come for him, it is going to be fast. But I do believe, because of his resiliency of who he is and mentally and all that stuff, that he'll be able to work through things. But that's part of the process too, and the plan of how we want to make sure we go about with that.
If you had to go to him, and you would feel like he has enough of the basics that you would do that? If you had to go to him, like in week 1, for example, if Andy came out for a series.
Yeah, for him, that's all learning. That's a learning lesson for us when he's out there. We got to see, where is he, So if he's in a position where he's out there, now you start and you see, okay, now we're going to really, truly see where he's at against an NFL defense and live bullets. Yep, that's when the true evaluation process begins with him. I just feel like his preparation and Andy's preparation and that room right now, that they're in a good place practice-wise. Now when we get to the season and we play the Rams, we got to make sure that we're clicking on all cylinders as an offense.
Matt, with Trufant, he's been gone for about a week now. How do you evaluate him when it comes down to whether he's going to make the club? This is a guy with a lot of experience and a lot of tape, but I presume you want to see it recently too.
Sure. No, I know it's been difficult for him. He wants to be here, but he does. He has a personal. He's out for personal reasons, and we all support him with that. And I just think that the one thing that he has is he has that experience, and we know that it would be great to be able to see him out here. But at the same point in time, that's life, and that's where we're at. So we'll just have to, when it comes down to it, see where his status is, and just that'll be something that Ryan and all of us will talk through.
Staying with the cornerback position, yesterday there, Kendall Vildor was running with the seconds a little bit, Artie Burns with the first. Is Burns getting a real look as a possibility as a starter?
Yeah, they're competing over there. Yesterday, and as we go through this, we're getting towards the end of camp right now, and you're getting to that part right where you find out that a lot of teams are you have some bumps and bruises, and you're trying to make sure that you work through who's going to play in the game and who's not. So there's a little bit of moving parts with different spots, but those guys are competing. Yeah, I mean, it's a great battle, and I think that they're playing well. Deshae Townsend's doing a great job with them on the back end, and I like where they're at. So they're going to have some good opportunities on Saturday.
Has Ogletree shown enough to potentially push Danny for playing time?
Yeah, he's played well, and that's all you can do. I think for Danny is working through all of his stuff right now, and in the end, we want to, we love Danny to death, and we understand the leader that he is, the player that he is, but Tree has come out here since day one. I mean, he's had like 7-8 picks, and he's continued to just play fast. So that we want to create depth. We want to have that for our players there defensively, and I think he's done a great job of letting us know that depending on where Danny is, status-wise, health-wise, et cetera, we feel good with the way that Tree's played.
Rodney Evans is a guy who's flashed out here, and then obviously in preseason games. I'm curious how much you knew about him last year, obviously in a weird year. How much did you learn about him here?
Yeah, I was able to learn a little bit about him because he was doing a lot of stuff on the look team. So we would have little side conversations, sometimes not always about football, but just family stuff too, just kind of small talk. And he's a really humble kid. He's very appreciative of this opportunity. I think Coach Furry's done a great job of developing him and giving him opportunities. And to Rodney's credit, he's taken advantage of it, and he's had now back-to-back games 2 phenomenal catches and special catches. So you root for guys like that, and he's obviously too going through some things and just having a baby and not sleeping much, and it just shows his resiliency. But I like where he's at.
What in his skill set intrigues you most?
He's got speed. He's got consistent hands. He's learning the offense, and he's growing fast at that pace. He's understanding the conversions and what we do, and he cares. He cares, and he's a great teammate. So he's got a lot of strong qualities.
Matt, as a running quarterback, Field seems to like to squeeze out as many yards as he can when he's along the sideline. I think even on one play he might have gotten like 8 or 9 more yards than even another running quarterback.
Yeah.
Going out about. How fine is that line for him? And is that a rookie thing, or is that or is that something you like in him that you?
I like it when he doesn't get hit. If you go to the one play where he scrambled to the left and he ran about 20 yards down the sideline on our sideline, and you can see Coach Flip on the sideline. He's just telling him to get down, get down. Like, that's how I feel too. I might not just say it. I might not animate it, but get down. And he has a great feel now with how he sees and feels where defenders are before he gets hit. And you just don't want to see the senseless hits like we've seen in the past, and that's where he's got to be smart. And we remind him all the time, be smart, be smart.
Do you think running quarterbacks, it's almost like they sense the hesitancy of defenders to avoid a penalty now, the way that's being called, and try and take advantage of that? I mean, that seems like that could be a trap.
You'll see some. I think there was one last year or 2 years ago where somebody was running down the sideline and they acted like they were going to run out of bounds, and the guy pulled up, and then he just kept going down the sideline. So, yeah, it's a fine line.
Coach, I guess almost everybody in this room can probably pick 40, 45 guys that are probably going to make this roster. Mm-hmm. Where are you in that process as we go into the final week? Are there 5 spots up for grabs, 10 spots up for grabs? And I have a follow-up after that.
Yeah, no problem. The competition that we've created, we said from day one, is there. It's real. I mean, Ryan and I look at that board every day. We get in there and look and go in his office and check that board out, and it's a good feeling when you have some guys that unfortunately you're going to have to cut that could make your roster. And so I don't know what the exact number is right now off the top of my head, but I do know that we feel good about the roster that we're going to end up with, and we know that there's going to be some good players that get cut, and we got to figure out for us what positions is that where it doesn't hurt us as much by losing it, because you want to create depth too as much as you can. Practice squad too is important.
When you win that process, how do you balance, certain position coaches standing on the table for a guy? You got Taves saying, hey, I need this guy.
Well, Taves is the worst. He wants everybody, so he's but that's Taves. You got to know.
The most weight, or some of the position coaches say, hey, I love this corner, I love this receiver?
Our coaches do a great job of understanding the special teams aspect. And sometimes that's hard. Some position coaches will want their guy for their position and because they want it for their position, but they don't understand the big picture. So every now and then, Ryan and I might have to explain the why part behind that as to this is the why. But Cabes does a great job too of being able to juggle. Every year's different, that 48 and that 53 and how that works. And so, but our coaches do a great job with that. And Ryan does a really good job of explaining the why to them.
Now, with the new timeline for cuts this year.
Yeah.
Have you seen any benefits or any detriments to it? Do you like cutting somebody 12 days, or getting your roster set 12 days before a game starts?
Probably, I would say the personnel probably likes it because they get to see who's cut. It's a scramble fest now, the old school way, when everyone got cut on one day, and you're trying to figure out and who are you missing, who are you not seeing, and who's somebody get, et cetera. So the personnel likes it, but I would say for the coaching staff and for us, it's a little different because it's you know, you don't have as many guys, and that's why some of this stuff like today with flipping a day to buy another day for our guys that are here, number-wise, it helps us. So we're still getting the same practices, but we're just flipping when we do it because of the numbers. So it's just a part of the adjustment period.
Hey, Matt, but big picture-wise, what gives you the confidence that regardless of who's playing quarterback, your offense is going to be more productive this year?
Probably just the way that we've been practicing, the tempo, where we've been, just talking through schematics of where we know we want to be. And then I would also say, too, I remember when I talked to y'all when I first got here, and I explained to everybody here that this offense, it takes a few years to get going. And part of that was we saw that in Kansas City where it took a few years because not just the players that were coming in and drafting, but the scheme, them learning it and understanding it. And after about 3 or 4 years, it started really picking up and going. I feel like we're at that spot right now. So we got some guys that are on this team now for 2, 3, 4 years, and they know the offense as well as I do, where that wasn't the case 2 or 3 years ago. We got more of those guys. So when you have that, and then you have a guy like Andy and these quarterbacks that come in that understand it, that's where it gives me the confidence. Now, we got to go do it. We know that, of course. But it gives me the confidence knowing the offensive line, these tight ends that we got, the wide receivers. There's a couple new ones, but they're doing well. And then Andy and the quarterbacks in general, running backs. I mean, it's a really good foundation right now, in my opinion. So that's why I feel good about it.
Hey, Matt, with that other corner spot opposite Jalen, are we at a point where you should have that solidified, or are you comfortable with the competition kind of still going there?
I like where it's at. I think it's good for them to keep competing. It'll be good this weekend, but I like where those guys are at. I feel very comfortable, and I know Sean will do a good job with them. Dion, go ahead.
How is the offensive line coming together, knowing that a lot of those guys are conditioning on the fly right now?
Yeah, it was good yesterday getting them out there. They have an amazing relationship with each other. And then J.P. Peters coming in here, it's really neat seeing how they gravitate towards him. And he's real professional back there helping them out. And just it's a really good unit. They're in it together. Communication's awesome. Now physically we just got to get them right. Those tackles, get them going, get them into their deal. Cody and Sam Mustafer have played a lot of snaps in preseason. That's good. So we'll have one more game here coming up, figure that out, and then let's go. Okay?
Thanks, guys. Thank you.